All right, let's jump right in. Today, we are breaking down a really big deal in the world of cybersecurity, the massive update to the NIST CSF version 2.0. We're going to explore how this new version is designed to shift our thinking about cybersecurity, moving it away from just a technical checklist and turning it into a core business strategy. So let me ask you something right off the bat. When you think about your cybersecurity program, is it really just a long checklist of things to do? It's a super common trap to fall into, and the new NIST framework is specifically built to help you break free from that mindset. You see, a lot of leaders get caught in what you could call the cybersecurity checklist trap. They look at these powerful strategic frameworks and mistake them for simple to-do lists. And when that happens, you're not just limiting their value, you're actually leaving your organization wide open to risk. And this, right here, really gets to the heart of the misunderstanding. A framework, like the new CSF 2.0, is all about the what. It defines the high-level strategic outcomes you need to achieve. But a controls catalog, something like NIST 853, that's the how. Think of it as a cookbook full of specific technical recipes. Confusing the two is kind of like mistaking a restaurant's business plan for its recipe book. Both are important, but they serve totally different purposes. And when you make that mistake, the consequences are, well, they're pretty severe. It's a domino effect. If you're just ticking boxes, you end up throwing money and people at the wrong problems. You can't get your executive team to see the real value in what you're doing. You start falling short in compliance. And the big one? Your exposure to threats goes way up. And you miss out on real opportunities for growth, where strong security could have been a competitive advantage. So, how does CSF 2.0 tackle this head on? Well, it introduces this really powerful new idea right at the center of everything: governance. And this isn't just some small add-on. No, this is a fundamental rethinking of how cybersecurity should work inside an organization. If you only remember one thing from this explainer, make it this. The single most important change in CSF 2.0 is one word: govern. And its placement, right at the core of the framework, is completely intentional. It's a huge signal that we're moving cybersecurity out of the IT basement and into the boardroom, making it a central business function. So what does govern actually mean in the real world? Well, it's about building a cybersecurity strategy that actually lines up with your business goals. It's about creating clear policies that people can understand and follow. It's about tackling the massive and growing risk that comes from your supply chain. And it's about making sure there's consistent oversight from the very top. It's what makes security everybody's job. And hey, you don't have to take my word for it. Gartner absolutely nails it here. They say that putting govern in the center means your strategy and policies have to be understood across all functions. This is all about breaking down the walls between the security team and the rest of the business. It's no longer just a technical problem for the techies to solve. Okay, so we get the big picture. The strategic shift is clear. Now let's get practical. How do you actually put all of this into action? Well, Gartner lays out a really clear 5-step roadmap to get it done right. So here's the game plan. Step 1, adopt this as a strategic framework, not another checklist. Step 2, weave it into your bigger enterprise risk management program. Step 3, tailor it, make it fit your organization's unique needs. Step 4, and this one is so important, you have to prioritize your supply chain risks. And finally, step 5, make sure you use all the new and expanded resources that NIST is providing. Now, all 5 of those steps are vital, for sure, but I want to zero in on step 4 for just a minute. Why? Because if you look at the data, managing supply chain risk is probably one of the biggest and most dangerous weaknesses for most organizations today. Just take a look at this number, 2.6 out of 5. According to Gartner, that is the average score for how well companies are managing their cybersecurity supply chain risk. I mean, that's not just a passing grade, that is a blinking red light on the dashboard. It's a dangerously low number, and it should be a major wake-up call for all of us. And that number isn't just pulled out of thin air. It's based on data from nearly 100 different organizations. The truth is, your suppliers, your partners, your vendors, they are all a part of your security posture. This data is screaming at us that we have a massive collective blind spot, and CSF 2.0 is basically forcing us to address it head on. Okay, so while that supply chain piece is a huge priority for everyone, how you implement the rest of the framework isn't. Remember step 3? Tailoring. This cannot be a one-size-fits-all approach. It absolutely has to be customized for your organization and your unique situation. Your approach really depends on where you're starting from. If you're a first-time adopter, your focus is going to be on establishing your current state versus your target state, and then scoping out some early wins to build momentum. But if you're already using an older version of the CSF, your job is different. You need to refresh your profiles to fit the new 2.0 structure, pilot the changes in a few high-impact areas, and get all your supporting documents updated.
So we've covered the problem, we've covered the big solution with Govern, and we've talked about the implementation plan. But let's end on the most important part, the payoff. Because this is all about shifting the conversation around cybersecurity, from being a necessary cost to being a source of real, tangible business value.
At the end of the day, this is the real prize. When you implement CSF 2.0 the right way, strategically, you're not just improving security, you're building a more resilient organization. You're making regulatory compliance way easier. You're protecting the brand you've worked so hard to build. You actually start to unlock growth opportunities that might have seemed too risky before. And, maybe best of all, you're finally speaking a language that your board and your executive team can understand and get behind.
Which really brings us to our final question, and it's the one I want you to take back to your own organization. After everything we've talked about, is your cybersecurity a true business enabler, or is it still just a technical expense on a spreadsheet? With the strategic mindset of NIST CSF 2.0, you now have the framework to make it the former.